Hello, and welcome to today's webinar, Building Your Brand Through LinkedIn, hosted by NEPW. We'd like to have a special welcome to our members joining us today. For those of you who are not familiar with NEPW, we are an online and face-to-face community made up of over 850,000 professional women who join together to cultivate valuable business connections, develop professionally, and promote themselves and their businesses. Today's webinar is the first in our new Horizon Insights series offering interactive virtual events and content featuring experts who provide insights on the issues that help us shape our careers. Before I introduce our speakers, some housekeeping. Everyone is on mute. Questions, there will be some time for questions at the end. You can submit them on the sidebar of your control. Depending on the volume, we may not get to all the questions. If that happens, we'll do our best to answer them via email. Recordings of the webinar will be emailed after the session, and we will also be available via the Bright Talk platform. Well, enough about us. I'm thrilled to introduce Viveka von Rosen. If you haven't had a chance to look at her LinkedIn profile, you'll see she's quite impressive. Viveka is known internationally as the LinkedIn expert. She's actually a lot of fun, too. She's the author of several published bestsellers. You made me laugh today, so I love it. And a regular source on LinkedIn. She's a regular source for LinkedIn on prestigious outlets like Forbes, Money Magazine, Fast Company, you name it. She's been quoted. Well, enough talking for me. I'm going to pass it over to Viveka. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It is a pleasure to be here. And you all don't know it, but we literally had one of those, like, in the nick of time. The PowerPoint slides wouldn't load, and so I had to bring in my ninja skills. Okay, actually it had nothing to do with me and pure luck, but here we are. We started literally exactly right on time. Now I know how MacGyver feels. And we're ready to get going. So today we're going to talk about LinkedIn ninja tricks, not just webinar ninja tricks, but LinkedIn ninja tricks. And really how to get the most out of LinkedIn in the least amount of time, especially with all the changes that LinkedIn made. So I'm going to cover all of the changes, how that affects you, what you can do with LinkedIn, and how to use LinkedIn effectively in your business, you know, in 60 minutes or less. So I better get started. So a few interesting statistics for those of you on the call. LinkedIn just a couple weeks ago finally hit its 500 million member mark. Now, yeah, I get this isn't Facebook with 2 billion plus members, but you have to remember that the people on LinkedIn are business people for the most part. And so that means that when you engage upon LinkedIn, you're not engaging with your neighbor down the road who raises chickens. You know, you're actually engaging with the individuals who can help you grow your business, or, you know, can actually buy your product or your service if you have a product or service for sale. So the 500 million members is actually a really big number, even amongst all of the social media numbers being thrown around. Now, 57% are male users, 44% are female users, and that number has actually stayed pretty steady since the inception of LinkedIn. It was 60-40. So we're climbing up. We're getting up there. There's more of us using it, hopefully more after today. And of course it is still the world's largest professional network, as we said, at 500 million people now. It's also the #1 place to distribute content, especially if you're in the B2B world. So I know not all of you are, but for those of you who identify in the business-to-business world, and for those of you who create content anyway, maybe you're blogging, you've got a podcast, those two things combined, the B2B and the content, if you can use LinkedIn to distribute that content, and I'll talk about how to do that near the end of my presentation, you have a much better chance than, say, doing it on G+, or even YouTube, or even Facebook. So you have a much better chance of distributing, and that your content will actually get seen by the right people. So go figure, LinkedIn isn't just for job seekers, it's for business women, it's for content creators, it's for influencers, it's for all of us on the call today. It is the highest it is the highest value social media site to executives. So that is really important for those of us who engage with executive level people. So if if your ideal client is a CEO, CMO, CFO, COO, CXO, CTO, CIO, etc., there's a much better chance that you will find them on LinkedIn than you will on Facebook. And of course, a much, much better chance that you'll actually get to reach out and engage with them. So when it comes to LinkedIn itself, that's enough stats. When it comes to LinkedIn itself, how LinkedIn really works, where you can really achieve the most success on LinkedIn is by focusing on 3 different legs. So first of all, you have got to create a strong brand on LinkedIn. You could be doing all the lead generation in the world and sending out the best content in the world, and if your LinkedIn profile looks like doo-doo, you are going to actually lose business. So we're going to cover what it takes to have a strong brand today. The second thing that you need to do is engage and build trust with helpful content. Now, a lot of you are content creators, you are bloggers, you are vloggers, you are podcasters. That's awesome. For those of you who are like, yeah, no, that is not me. You're not going to get me in front of a microphone, in front of a camera, or, I don't write. That's okay, because you can become curators of content. You can take the content already being shared and disseminate it in such a way that you become seen as a thought leader in your industry, as someone helpful and useful. And then finally, the third leg of LinkedIn is really converting those connections to clients with strong lead generation strategies, which again, we're going to cover that today. Now, the key to being successful with lead generation on LinkedIn, with social selling on LinkedIn, is actually being able to find the right people. And one of the things LinkedIn did when it changed its user interface, it took away some of the key tools that we use to find those exact right people. And so I'm going to show you a couple ninja tricks on what you can do to find your highest quality leads on LinkedIn. By the way, this is an exact replica of me. Not really, okay? So the first thing that you want to do is create a background image for your personal profile and for your company pages. And a lot of you have already done this, except that you might have done it with the old user interface, and that one just doesn't fit, so now there's just a blue screen behind you. A lot of you might have uploaded, a nice image that reflects your business. Maybe it's flowers, maybe it's a typewriter, maybe it's office buildings, but there's no information on there. And what you really want to do is use this background image both to brand to your website, to your other social platforms, to your business. But you also want to get some contact information up there so that people can reach out and engage with you. So there is a template, and this is the wrong link, but we are going to put the right link in the attachments and links. So this is what the template looks like. It is, to use a highly technical term, wacky. Like, this is the weirdest template I've ever seen. Somehow, Facebook has figured out how to get things look good on the browser and on the mobile. And Twitter has figured out how to make things look good on mobile and on the browser. And YouTube has figured out how to make things look good on the mobile and on the browser, but not LinkedIn. So this is the background image that you need. This is the template for the background image that you need. So again, if you guys can pop that attachment or that link into the attachments and links page, it's tinyurl.com/NAPW LinkedIn. That's tinyurl.com/NAPW LinkedIn. And so the template will be there. You can download that template there, and there's some other cool free stuff in there for you too. But this is what you need to create. Now, if you are a wonderful artist and you know how to use Photoshop, then this is all you're going to need. And maybe let other people in this conference know. But if you're graphically impaired like I am, then you're going to have to go to a graphic artist, or even Fiverr, or even, I'm about to give you another cool tool here. But the key to this template, the key to making that background image look good, to get that branding up there, to get your contact information in there, is to make sure the important stuff is in the yellow area. You need content, you need pictures and visuals and imagery in the blue area just so it looks good on mobile. But the important stuff needs to be in that yellow section. So one of the tools that I use, and as far as I know, this is the only graphics tool that actually has a background image that works, is Relay That, R-E-L-A-Y-T-H-A-T, relaythat.com. So go ahead and write that down or even open it up in another screen, but come back. And you can actually create up to 10 images for free on Relay That. So they don't have the right background image in Canva. They don't have the right background image on LinkedIn. When you go to LinkedIn and ask for the background image measurements, they send you the wrong one. So Relay That actually has the back images, or you've got the template that I've just sent you. And like I said, you want to get your contact info on there. So this is my background image. It looks good on mobile because the whole thing shows on mobile. But when you look at the browser, if you've gone to my profile, you've seen this. When you look at the browser, you actually get my call to action, which is converting clients into customers, and then it's hard to see on this screen, but you actually get my website and my phone number. Now here's another ninja trick. If you want to trace or track if you're getting business through LinkedIn or not, put unique contact information here. So I actually have now support at vivekavonrosen.com. That the only place that email address is on LinkedIn. So I know any emails that come through that and any newsletters I get signed up for have come from LinkedIn. I also have a Google Voice number here. So I know that any phone calls that come through that number come from LinkedIn. And that is one of the best ways of tracking and seeing if LinkedIn's actually working for you or not, if you're getting any business or not. The cool thing about this background image, and this is new, you used to have to do 2 different background images for your company page, for those of you who have company pages, for your company page and your personal profile. Now that template, the one that you can download, it actually fits on both. So that's great. One good thing, actually, about this new user interface. So again, you can see here, this is a client of mine, Boss Equity. They've got their website on there as well, and they've got their call to action. Now, they're multinational, so they didn't put a phone number up there because they don't have a single 1-800 number. But on the personal profiles, you can certainly put your phone number on there. So that's something to think about for those of you who have employees. You can't make them upload this background image, but you can ask them kindly if they'd be willing to upload this background image, and that will create branding. That will create amplification for your brand across LinkedIn. So that's something to think about too. All right, let's talk about summary sections. This is also affected by the new user interface. So it used to be that mostly you could see top of the page, most of a person's summary section, and then you could just scroll down and see the rest. The summary section, for those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, is that little section, underneath your picture, underneath your name, underneath your headline. You see the first 2 lines and it says see more. Now this summary section is where you get people to buy into your profile, right? You want them to read those first 2 lines, so make those first 2 lines impactful. And then after you've got those first 2 lines, you want to spend the rest of the 2,000 characters telling people essentially why they should work for you. And you always have to focus on your audience. This is kind of marketing 101, right? You always want to focus on what's in it for them. So A, you have to know who your audience is to write a good LinkedIn profile. B, you have to know what your offer is, of course. And C, you have to know how your offer is going to make their life better. And then D, you have to tell them that, right? So whether it's sharing some testimonials from other happy customers or clients, whether it is literally telling them this is what I can do for you, whether it's telling them or having them self-identify, have you felt this problem that you get on LinkedIn and you don't understand what's going on? No problem. That's why I'm here. Sign up for my free newsletter, check out this free training, blah, blah, blah. So you really want to focus on your ideal customer or client, what their needs are, and then you need to resolve those needs basically in this summary section. And you want to do it first in a Word document because you want to catch spelling errors. I worked with a C-level woman in a Fortune 500 company, and I'm sure her assistant had written her profile for her, but it was chief was spelled incorrectly all throughout her profile, CHEIF. And so, that's not good if you're a C-level person at a Fortune 500 company. So you want to create your profile first in a Word document. Check it for spelling, check it for errors. You want to check the word count. You've got 2,000 characters. You can add bullets and special characters if you do it first in a Word document. So if you're wondering how people got bullets into their profiles, that's how they did it. And then you really, really, as I mentioned before, want to focus on your audience. And make sure that those first 2 lines, those first 212 to 248 characters are impactful. Make people want to read more. The more invested they are in their profile, in your profile rather, the more likely they are to know, like, and trust you, the more likely they are to continue reading your profile, to discover more about you, and eventually to buy from you. So here's another ninja trick, special characters and formatting. So as I said, do it in a Word document first. If you want to add emojis in, because doesn't everybody want an emoji? If you create this in like notes, on your phone, it's easy to get the emoji, or you might not have known this, you actually have an emoji keyboard. I'm not sure what it is on PC. I'm assuming it's the same on a PC as a Mac, but if you hit Control, Command, and the space bar at the same time, Control, Command, space bar, your emojis will pop up. So that'll allow you to add emojis into your Word document, which you can then copy and paste into LinkedIn. So that's a little ninja trick for you there. Emojis, people's eyes are drawn to them, and let's face it, if you've got a highly millennial audience, they're going to want to see those emojis. The other thing that you're going to want to do to build credibility in your profile is add media. So Google yourself, right? Get onto Google and Google your name and see if there's some media you might have forgotten about. Maybe you did an interview. Maybe there's a testimonial somewhere. And then do an audit of your own computer, right? Just see if you've got media there that you can upload that will help to build credibility. And you can add media to your summary, your experience, your education section. It's actually easier to do now than it was before. You just go into edit mode, either in your summary or experience or education, and you can either upload a piece of media, a JPEG, a PDF, a SlideShare presentation, or you can add a link to say a YouTube video, a Vimeo video, or, again, a SlideShare link. Either of those will work. What I like about this now is LinkedIn shares an icon. So people looking at that piece of media know if it's a video or know if it's an image that they need to click on. So they're kind of prepared for what they get. Also, like in this middle, this is my YouTube thumbnail. It's not a terribly attractive, so they'll understand that, yes, I know this picture is ugly, but it's my YouTube thumbnail, and this is what you get because it's video. You can add as much media as you want to these different sections, but only the first 3 are going to show. At this time, you can't order those. So the first one that you put in needs to be your most important one. I hope they fix this. Because, of course, I've got media that I uploaded that was important 2 years ago, but now it's out of date. And so in order for me to reorder it correctly, I have to delete it all and re-upload it. It's a real pain. So just be very thoughtful about the media that you upload first, because right now you can't move it around. You could, and then LinkedIn took that away, and then you can add it again, and then took it away. So hopefully that'll come back. But just be aware for right now, like literally today, when you upload media, the first one that you put in is going to be the first one that shows up. So here's how you upload it. Again, just go to the edit mode, which is the little pen, and then scroll down in whatever section you're in, and you'll see either upload or link to media. And it's literally that. Upload a JPEG, link to a YouTube video. You can put blog posts in here, video testimonials. If you are in front of an audience ever, like either as a speaker, you're heading up a sales training, after the training, provided it's compliant with your industry, get someone to talk about what they learned from your training or from your presentation, and then you can upload that as a video testimonial on LinkedIn. Because all day long I can call myself a LinkedIn expert, but I need to prove that, right? I need to prove that through media that I upload, other people's testimonials. Which brings me, and I don't have a slide for it, but recommendations also very important. They're easier to do now, but they're harder to find. So if you want to get a recommendation from a connection, they have to be a first-level connection. If you want to get a recommendation from a connection, go to their profile. There'll be 3 little dots on the right-hand side of their profile. Click on those 3 little dots, and you'll be able to ask for a recommendation. So easier to do, harder to find. The other thing, of course, is endorsements for skills. You need to list the skills that are important to you. If they're keywords, even better. Yes, you're going to get endorsements from people you don't know for things you don't do. That's just the nature of LinkedIn. But go ahead and delete any skill that you don't actually have. And just be aware that every time someone endorses that skill, it makes your profile that much more findable on LinkedIn. So on LinkedIn, you know, as far as SEO, search engine optimization, as far as making a profile that other people can find, the most important thing is relationship. Your first-level connections will always see your profile over a second-level connections profile. The second most important thing is getting keywords into your profile, and endorsements or skills and endorsements are a huge, huge part of that. So don't dismiss those endorsements. They are actually really important. All right. Now, those few steps alone, right, creating a good summary section, having a good background image. I didn't mention it because I hope it goes without saying. Please upload a good photo of yourself. As much as I love these little emojis of who I, you know, these little cartoons of me, I would never upload that picture of me as a picture on LinkedIn because I would not be recognizable. The idea with your LinkedIn photo is that when people meet you at a trade show or meet you at a conference or meet you for the first time, you know, in Starbucks or across your desk, that they recognize you. And yes, you might have looked better 10 years ago and you might have been skinnier and had better hair and less wrinkles, but there is a sense of dishonesty if they're expecting that person and then they walk in the door and they see you as you look right now. So you want to make sure that that photo reflects who you are enough right now. And as women, this is a pain in the butt, right? Because we cut our hair and we give ourselves bangs. Don't do that, by the way. Always go to a hairdresser. We wear glasses. We change our glasses. We get LASIK surgery and don't wear glasses anymore. We gain 20 pounds. We lose 20 pounds. So you need to make sure, women more than men usually, you need to make sure that your photo represents who you are. And please also really zoom in on your photo because it's smaller now. It's significantly smaller. So the long body shot does not work. So those are just a few things that you need to do to create a stronger brand on LinkedIn, and it'll also make your profile more findable. So that is part 1, creating a strong brand on LinkedIn in 20 minutes or less. Now we're going to talk about content marketing. Again, I'm going to give you the ninja tricks. I'm going to give you the most important things that you can do. I could literally, and I have done an hour to an hour and a half just on LinkedIn Publisher. But I want to give you the ninja tricks and really what you can do today to make the content that you're creating more powerful. Now, the whole idea behind content marketing is that we want people to get to know, like, and trust us. You know, and as my friend Bob Burke says, all things being equal, people will do business with and refer people to those people that they know, like, and trust. So it's building that KLT, that know, like, and trust factor. And media is a really good way, content is a really good way of doing that, right? So whether you're using Publisher or whether you're using updates on LinkedIn, those can really help you to establish expertise, but also establish credibility and also, you know, just generate more positive sentiment around who you are and what you do. So when it comes to content on LinkedIn, it's very, very confusing. And even LinkedIn misuses some of these terms. So on LinkedIn, there is LinkedIn Publisher. That is the actual feature that you will use for those of you who use long-form posts, who blog. That is the actual feature that you will use to create long-form original content on LinkedIn. Now, Publisher, what you write on Publisher are called articles, but sometimes LinkedIn calls them posts. So just be aware that posts and articles are that long-form blog-like content that you create. Now, LinkedIn also has posts and updates. Updates are like tweets, right? They're like tweet-like shares or Facebook update shares. So that's what you find on your homepage, and you're like, here's a really good article that I read today on the NAPW website. It talks about how to position yourself as a woman in business on LinkedIn. Paste link, call it good. The posts are when you write that article about how to position yourself as a leader on LinkedIn. Now, Publisher, like I said, is a feature that you use to create these posts and articles. It is always, always, always called Pulse. It's not what it is, but everyone refers to Publisher as Pulse. I will probably even mistakenly do that today. Pulse was their newsreader. So Pulse was a newsreader app actually that LinkedIn bought and then embedded within LinkedIn, and now it's going through all kinds of changes, and they're talking about getting rid of it. But Pulse is the newsreader. They're not getting rid of Publisher, the long-term post writer. They're getting rid of potentially Pulse, the newsreader. So that's just kind of some semantics, but to be aware, because I know that can get confusing. So for those of you who are wanting to create long-form posts, you're already creating content, you're already a blogger or a vlogger or a writer, you create those posts on Publisher. Publisher is found on your home page. It's very confusing. It's found on, and my pointer doesn't work, it's found on your home page. It's the little link that says write an article. So it's not above that says share an article, photo, or update. That's an update. It's down below where it says write an article. And when you click on that, it actually takes you into a whole new page where you can create long-form content, and you can do things like adjust the header settings. You can do some formatting with the fonts, not a lot, but you can add italics and bold. You can add bullets and numbers. You can add quotes. They really pop out, which is nice. You can hyperlink pretty much anything, any visuals that you add, you can hyperlink. Any content that you add, you can hyperlink. So you want to use as many of those features as possible. And some other ninja tricks around these long-form posts. You have the best posts, the posts that get seen the most and the ones that get put into Pulse, tend to be between 900 and 1,400 words. I actually write for LinkedIn, not just for LinkedIn Publisher, but I do some writing for LinkedIn. And what the person there told me was, your posts have to be at least 500 characters, or 500 words, or they will not be put into Pulse. So if you're trying to get into Pulse, which gets you a little bit more visibility, then know that you have to have at least 500, and 900 to 1,400 words works better. Use calls to action, right? Hey, if you liked this post, please share it with your friends. Hey, if you liked this post, make sure to call me or email me. Hey, if you have questions about this article, would love to answer them. Here's my calendar link, right? So put calls to action and make sure to add your contact info. And if you use a tool like TimeTrade or Calendly or Schedule Once or Appointly, make sure to put that link into your post as well. That can drive an immense amount of traffic. One of my clients, he sells jets. He's a jet broker, like big airplanes, right? Not the sports team. And so he uses Publisher and just shares these articles about what's happening in aviation. He's sold 3 airplanes, like millions of dollars worth of business through LinkedIn Publisher, because he shares long-form posts or long-form articles about airplanes. He puts his contact information and calendar link at the bottom, and he actually gets calls from people who want him to broker deals for them when they, buy their jet. So there you go. Who knew that it actually works really, really well? Now, that's an extreme example, so it's going to work even better for you. Some more best practices: use cohesive and strong visuals. Do as I say, not as I do. There's a picture here at the bottom of my friend Liz Ryan. Anything you see of Liz's, you know it's her, because she has this cartoon thing. It's on her website. It's on her background image. It's in her posts. It's on her newsletter. It's on her website. It's everywhere. It's on her Facebook page. It's on her Twitter page. It's on her YouTube page. When you see Liz's visuals, you know that that is a Liz Ryan post or a Liz Ryan article or a Liz Ryan platform. So those strong visuals are very important. Here's another story. I shared an article for a client of mine on I rewrote it for them, but on my on Publisher, it was about content marketing platforms. So we had like a very kind of technical picture up first. It got like 128 shares. We put a picture of a puppy. No lie. I'm like, well, puppies sell. So I put a picture of a puppy sitting in the middle of a bunch of spreadsheets, and all of a sudden, like 1,800 views. So, hey, the visuals are still extremely important. Now, for those of you who don't write, you've kind of tuned out for the past 5 minutes. If you don't write, you can do a couple things. If you don't write but you do podcast or vlog, just transcribe your podcasts or your vlogs. If you do vlog, put the video in your article. If you podcast, you can put a link to your podcast in your article, but transcribe them, clean them up a bit, and boom, you're done. Now, if you don't do any of that, you're like, I don't create content, Vivica, you can still create, and actually this is one of my little ninja tricks too, you can create compilation posts. So this is both lead generation and content creation. Go on LinkedIn, find 5 of the people that you really want to be doing business with, invite them to connect. When you invite them to connect, you can even say, hey, I'm writing a post on LinkedIn for what leaders in this industry think about this thing, right? Because you're identifying them as a leader in that industry. Was wondering if you'd be willing to connect so that I can send you my questions. So they're a lot more likely to connect if you do that. So now you're connected on LinkedIn, which means you can do a lot more with them on LinkedIn. And then when they accept your invitation to connect, you send them questions or even see if you can get on the phone with them, and you just ask them a question. The answer becomes part of the post. Yes, this seems very time-consuming, but it's just a win-win-win-win-win situation. You potentially get one of your top prospects as a connection on LinkedIn, and these might be people who are really hard to get to normally, but because you're interviewing, not trying to sell them, they're more likely to respond. So that's number one. You get them in your network, which means, potentially they become a referral source for you, too, on down the road. Number 2, you get some content from them, so you're able to create this post. So you just pull all the quotes together, you hyperlink back to their profile, and when you share it, you mention or tag them and let them know that you've shared it. So now they're likely to share it for you, and that's going to get you even more visibility too. So you've connected with someone that you really could do some business with. You've created some content that gets you more visibility, and that visibility actually associates you with that individual. So it's a really nice little ninja trick. It's something worth considering doing, even if you don't write, because you don't have to write. All you have to do is put the quotes together. I mentioned visuals, so a lot of us don't want to create or buy or create new visuals every time we create a post on LinkedIn. Here are some places where you can get beautiful and funky and cool free photos, images that you can upload. So Gratisography, and that's my little Gratisography guy on the right-hand side. I use him in many, many sites, but they've got hundreds and hundreds of free, funky photos that you can upload. Pixabay is fantastic. It's like photo stock, but you don't have to pay for it. Death to the Stock Photo has phenomenally beautiful photos that you can use for free. And then, of course, you can use tools like Snagit and Canva and relay that to create images, or you can have someone at Fiverr create one for you for $5. So there's a lot of options there if you're graphically impaired like I am. All right. Now, and this is where everyone fails. Once you create your long-form post, most people go, boom, done, shared, good. And they're like, why do I only have 50 views? Why hasn't this gone viral? Because with LinkedIn's new changes and the fact that they're kind of getting rid of a lot of the Pulse channels, and the fact that they've taken Pulse out of, or Publisher rather, out of notifications, it's a one or done situation, right? So people, you hit publish, it shows up on the timeline, and then it's gone. And unless people are going to your profile, and even there it's hard to see everything but the latest one, they're just never going to see that content again. So you need to keep sharing it and sharing it and sharing it and sharing it and sharing it. You can manually share it literally by going into the post every day, clicking on the share button, and sharing it to LinkedIn, Twitter, or Facebook. I would only I would only share it once to Facebook, but to Twitter and LinkedIn, those are scrolling timelines. You know, that's just fine. You just share that once, twice, 3 times a day even. Okay, that's too much, but definitely once a day is in most cases not too much. So after you've posted it and published it, you just go in, click on the share button, and share it 3 times a week. Let's be conservative, 3 times a week. Now another little nifty ninja trick that I have is I put a share on LinkedIn button, which I just got from Google, right? It's a LinkedIn button, but I just got it from Google. Like literally Google the word share on LinkedIn or the phrase share on LinkedIn. Go to images. That's an image you can use. It's a public image. And then I will put in my profile, I'll put that share on LinkedIn, in my published posts, I'll put that share on LinkedIn button. Or, you know, I'll literally write, if you like this, click here to share on LinkedIn. I mean, and then I will, and here's the ninja trick. You publish it, you share it, and on the right-hand side you can see what the sharing little box looks like. You take the URL from the sharing box, you go back into Publisher, and then you hyperlink that share on LinkedIn or that if you like this, click here to share. You can't do it before you publish it because you actually don't have the link yet. So it takes an extra 5 minutes at the most, but this will double or triple the shares you get on LinkedIn, because what happens is people are now reading your published post. They're like, this is really good. They're halfway through your post, so they don't see the sharing button at the top. They don't see the sharing button in the middle, or at the bottom rather, but they do see this big blue sharing button in the middle. They click on that, the sharing box pops up, it auto-populates. They can say, hey, great article, you should read this. It takes them like 3 seconds, and because you've made it easy for them, they are so much more likely to share that content. Because if you wait for them, they're not going to do it at first because they haven't read it yet, so they don't know if it's worth sharing. And by the time they get to the bottom, well, they may never get to the bottom because their phone rings, or they decided to write a comment or whatever. But if it's right smack dab in the middle, share on LinkedIn, you have a much better chance of them sharing it. So, again, because I know this is a little bit confusing, write your post, add the sharing button and the call to action. If you like this, click here to share. Publish it. Share it. After you publish it, just click on the share button. It's a little swoosh. Grab the URL from the sharing box. It's at the very top. It's the link at the very top. And then go back in and edit your post and add that hyperlink to the picture and to the click to share. This is golden. This will help to get your stuff shared much more likely. And for those of you who've already created content, you've got great evergreen content, you can go back into old posts and add the button and add the call to action and then just click on share and add the link and then add it and start sharing those posts. And so you can breathe life into old posts. This isn't just for one that you created today or yesterday. You can continue to do this. Now that was long-form posts. As far as sharing updates, you can share an update from any post that you see, so that's awesome. If you create video, oh my gosh, that's huge, because video auto plays on LinkedIn, and it takes up a big old portion of the timeline. So if you create video, or if you have video about your company, or if you have video about you, add that video as an update. Make sure to do that, because it shows up great, it looks good, and it auto-plays. And I have, and unfortunately the photo didn't show you here, but I have a client, we added their video to LinkedIn. Now this rarely happens, this is not common, but they got over 20,000 views of their video by sharing it on LinkedIn. So if you've got video, please share it as an update on LinkedIn. And when you share an update, remember it's just on your homepage, it's the top. Share an update photo or image, or update something or image, I can't remember. Anyway, it's at the top of your home screen. When you share an image, always add a link if you can. Put a call to action. You can see mine says buy it here. If you can add video, great. If you can tag people, make sure to tag them. So if I was sharing a video from one of my clients, I would say, hey, this is a great video from @client's name, and LinkedIn will let me choose their name from the drop-down. That will then notify them that you've shared their content, so that again breeds positive sentiment, and they feel better about you, and they're more likely to return your phone call. And it's a win-win situation because you get to share good content with your audience, and that also builds that feeling of know, like, and trust. So once a day, twice a day, that will increase the visibility of your views. Now, a couple other ninja bonus tricks. If you have a company page and you've got employees, and you're sharing for either yourself or those employees, if you go to your company page and look at the analytics page, so go to your company page, you have to be an administrator, click on analytics, that's going to give you all of your posts. And yes, it's going to show you how well they did. But the point is, it's going to give you all your posts. All you have to do is hover over it, and you can just copy and paste that into whatever sharing tool you're using. So if you're using Hootsuite or Octopost or Sprout or Buffer, it's an easy way to grab content super quick, so it'll take you a lot less time to create those updates and share those updates and build that visibility. So again, Octopost is a tool that I use all the time. I love the user interface. It's pricey, but totally worth it. Agorapulse is one of my favorite. It works. It's a really cool tool. It's very affordable. I happen to be friends with the CEO. Buffer is great because their free option is still very functional. And Hootsuite probably gives you the most features for the least amount of money, but I'm just not a huge fan of the user interface. I find it a little bit difficult. But again, these are sharing tools, social sharing tools. So these will help to schedule your LinkedIn posts, your company page posts, but also Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, etc. So really consider if you want to up your visibility on LinkedIn, and if you want to do it in such a way that's consistent, creates more visibility, but doesn't take as much time, do consider investing in one of these social sharing tools. Again, Buffer's free, so if you just want to try it out, Buffer's free, and you can add up to 3 accounts. Hootsuite has the most features for $9.95 a month. Agorapulse, for the lower price point, is my favorite tool, and if you got the money, Octopost is great. I love Octopost. It's a good tool. All right, so now we have talked about having a fantastic brand, and then also how to create positive sentiment and more visibility and position yourself as a thought leader and an influencer by sharing content, either your own or curating content, other people's or your company's content. That will really position you as a thought leader. Generally, it's an 80-20 rule, right? 80-20, helpful, useful information. 20%, you can be a little bit more of a sales pitch, or talk about your products or services. But 80% should just be, here's a great article talking about something that your audience would be interested in. Make sure to check it out, because that just builds that positive sentiment. Articles should never be used to sell anything. They should always and only be informational. Okay, so we've got those two covered. Now in the last 15 minutes, let's talk about lead generation. As I mentioned earlier, the key to success with lead generation on LinkedIn is being able to actually find your ideal clients. And with that, you have to use LinkedIn's search, but you really have to refine the search by using the fields on the right-hand side. Now, it drove me insane. With the new user interface, they got rid of the title field. They got rid of the company field. They got rid of the first and last name field. So if I wanted to find a person at a company, I had to do it in the big general search up top, and generally, I didn't get the right answer. So LinkedIn brought keywords, and you have to click on the keywords link, and it'll expand, but LinkedIn brought those back, right? So they brought back, you can search by first name and last name now. You can search by title, and that was an important one for me. You can search by company, and you can search by school. The one they did not bring back, because now you have to pay for it, is the postal code zip, or the postal code search. So that was key to me. But oh well, they didn't bring it back. But you can still get good results by using all the search fields that are under keywords. And oh, by the way, right now, this search is showing up on both the right and the left-hand side. There's a real glitch on LinkedIn, so it might be on the right-hand side, it might be on the left-hand side. Just be aware of that. There's a thing going on with LinkedIn right now, like literally today. Now, once you refine your search, now you have a better chance of reaching out and connecting to people. The problem is, if you have a free account on LinkedIn and you do a search and it's too general, LinkedIn's going to say, and it might be Monday on the first day of the month, LinkedIn's like, you've used up your search algorithms, or you've used up your searches, sorry. If you want to find anyone else, you're going to have to pay for it. So the more specific that you can get in your search, the better. Now, the second ninja trick to finding exactly the right people is what's known as Boolean search. Right? So here's a general search where I looked for the word CEO, probably in a certain location, in a certain industry, and probably they were first-level connections. So, I got 3,052 results. Well, that's way, 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 way too many for a free account. I have a premium account, but that's way, way, way too many for a free account. So what I did was I customized my search using what's known as Boolean search. And just as a little primer on how to use Boolean search, if you're not sure who you're looking for, you use capital O, capital R, right? So if I'm looking for an owner, or are they calling themselves CEO, or are they calling themselves president, or are they calling themselves founder? So, or when I don't know exactly the search term I'm looking for, then I use and to include a certain search term. So if I know I want CEOs or owners or presidents or founders, and I want to make sure they have the word manufacturing somewhere in their profile, I just add and manufacturing. And then not exclude searches, so not consultants or job seekers or whatever, or people in my own company. Because remember, we're trying to get as specific results as possible so we don't blow past those limits that LinkedIn enforces on us. The other key to Boolean search is if you've got either searches or words that you searches that you want to hold together, like not consultant or job seeker or employer at my company, the quotation marks keeps those searches together. And then the other thing is quotation marks will keep words together. So if I'm looking for landscape architect, I would put quotation marks around landscape and architect. And that means that that I would just get that search term as opposed to a lot of landscapes and a lot of architects. Remember, this whole thing is if you have a free account and you're trying to get the most refined results possible, this is how you do it, so then you don't have to deal with paying for Sales Navigator at $79 a month. Finally, once you've got your search, you want to save a search. So if you get a really good search and you're like, oh my gosh, everyone in that search is a potential client, at the bottom right-hand side, you can create a search alert. This they used to have, they got rid of it, they brought it back. This is so important because you don't have to keep recreating your search. You just go down to your Save Searches, click on it, and it'll repopulate. But not only that, LinkedIn will actually send you leads. So these searches that you do, you can do 3 with the free account. LinkedIn will say, hey, you were looking for CEOs or founders or owners and manufacturing, not job seekers. Awesome, here's 5 more for you, or 20 more for you, or 30 more for you. And then it's just for you to follow up with them. So LinkedIn will actually send you an email with those leads, or you can always just go back into the search and see who those new leads are. So that is key. After you create a search using Boolean search and the results are good and they look like they're all good prospects, save that search and let LinkedIn send you leads, because now you've got your leads that you can communicate with. So as we wrap up here, invitations, finally, oh my gosh, this was a good thing that LinkedIn did. With invitations, now when you hit on the connect button, except for on mobile, but on your browser, no matter where you are, if you're in the search results, if you're on a prospect's page, when you click on the connect button, you have the opportunity to customize that invitation. And yes, you want to customize that invitation every single time. If you are using your mobile phone, when you go to their profile on the app, don't click the connect button. Click on the 3 little dots to the right of their name, and that will allow you to personify or personalize, rather, the invitation. Always, always personalize an invitation. You have up to 300 characters. You just can't put a link in there, but you can put a phone number in there. So that's invitations. Introductions. Yes, there's an introduction tool on LinkedIn. It sucks. So I would go old school. If you see someone in common, right, so if you go to someone's profile, you can go down to your mutual connections, and then when you click on that, you can see everyone, as long as they've made their profile, their connections visible. I would go and see who you had in common, and when you go to a prospect's profile on the right-hand side, it will also show you who you have in common, and I would go old school. I'd either email that person or phone that person, say, hey, I noticed that you were connected to Nick on LinkedIn. How well do you know him, and would you be willing to introduce the two of us? And when they say yes, then either just have them do it through email or have them do it through LinkedIn. But the introduction tool on LinkedIn is very confusing to a lot of people, including myself. So I like going old school. And then as far as sending private messages, right, so once you have been connected on LinkedIn, you can send private messages, which it was called Messenger, and then they realized that was because they copied Facebook. It was way too much like Facebook. They're now calling it messaging, so messages and messaging. But anyway, your messages on LinkedIn, this is really cool because when you start engaging with your prospects or with your connections on LinkedIn, a little box pops up at the bottom just like Facebook, and it turns blue when it's active, meaning that you can initiate an immediate conversation with people, and it's actually at the top here. It got raised up to the top in this image, but it's usually at the bottom. So you can have conversations with those people immediately. Now, you can turn those pop-ups off if you don't like it, but I leave mine on because no matter what page I'm on LinkedIn, I can see who's in active conversation with me, who's active on LinkedIn and in active conversation with me, and then I can take it to a phone call, or or to a Skype meeting, or even just to an email. But that allows for more intermediate interaction. So I'm actually a fan of the new Messenger. You can sort your messages to see the ones you've seen, the ones you've archived, the ones that you haven't seen yet. And I think they fixed where you don't even have to click. It used to be like everything you wrote and hit enter, it would send that message instead of just putting a space in there. But I think they've fixed that now, so all you have to do is press enter to send the message. But yeah, the new Messenger, which is on the top rightish side of your browser, the new Messenger is actually really, really powerful. So start sending messages to your friends and connections and colleagues who you're directly connected to on LinkedIn, and see what kind of conversations that can lead to. All right, so I know I want to leave a little bit of time for our Q&A. So as we wrap up here, the most important parts, right, our last hour in review, as far as branding, header image, header image, header image, header image, header image. Say that 3 times quickly. Please make sure to download the template. The link is in the attachments and links box. If it's not, or if you can't find that, it's tinyurl.com/NAPW LinkedIn. tinyurl.com/NAPW LinkedIn. Header image, header image, header image. Rework your summary. You might already have a good summary. Just make sure that the first 2 lines are powerful so people want to click on that, read more, to read more. And then please, if you have not yet done so, it's worth the 5 or 10 minutes per summary and experience section to add media. When you add the media, make sure to customize it so the title on it isn't 56999554321.jpg, that it's actually, here's a picture of myself and Sir Richard Branson, or here's a white paper you might enjoy reading about whatever. So describe what the media is when you upload it, and remember, the first one that you put in is the one that shows up first. For right now. Hopefully LinkedIn can fix that. The second thing, content marketing, our publisher best practices. 900 to 1,400 words, good visuals, use calls to action, add links in there, and by all means, put your contact information in there because this could be one of the best ways to drive leads. Share, 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 and share again. If you're not a writer, then at least share one update a day. You can share an update from a blog you read. You can share an update from your company's blog. You can share an update from your company's page, or you can share an update that you just read in your own timeline. But share one a day. It's not going to take you more than a minute, and it will definitely increase the people viewing your profile, which creates positive sentiment, know, like, and trust value. And as I mentioned before, you can use your company page as a content hub if you actually have access to that company page. And then as far as lead generation, the most important part of lead generation is finding good leads, and the best way of doing that with LinkedIn Free is Boolean Search. Now, if you've got the Sales Navigator account, it's fantastic. If you have Business Plus, get rid of it and get Sales Navigator because its search is phenomenal, and you'll find exactly who you're looking for. But if you've got Free, make sure to use that Boolean Search and or not, quotation marks and parentheses. And then finally, invitations, always customize them. Introductions, go old school. And messages, make sure to use that messaging tab. Keep an eye on those tabs and really try to start that one-on-one engagement. So research says that by tomorrow you're only going to retain 35% of what I taught you today. So I hope you took notes. There will be a recording. I think you're going to get this PowerPoint presentation because by the end of the week you're only going to remember 20% of what we talked about. So take notes, take action. Circle, if you've been taking notes, circle the 3 things that you're going to do after we get off this call because as Confucius says, I hear and I forget, I see and I remember, I do and I understand. So let's go ahead and take some questions. Don't go here, this 8 Deadly Download, you're actually going to get this ebook. We're going to send it to you. But don't forget, we've got the tinyurl.com, tinyurl.com/NAPW LinkedIn, and that's going to have it's going to have a checklist on for you so that you take the right action every day. It's going to have that template for you. It has, if you want to learn more about LinkedIn, a link to my course is in there, and I think a link to Relay That is in there. So definitely take a look at that. So tinyurl.com/NAPW LinkedIn, and it's free, of course. Okay, we have 3 minutes. I'm happy to stay on longer. I know we've got a lot of questions, so I think you were going to read the questions to me, or should I read them? I'll read them. Okay. So here we go. Okay, yes. Oh, my goodness, such a great question. You said the word original post. Can a blog post be posted on my website first and then copied to LinkedIn? Yes, 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 absolutely. I'm sorry. I meant to say, like you created the content, but you should repurpose your blog posts. Absolutely, 100%. If your blog posts tend to be like 200 or 300 words, you can even maybe look for a common theme and add a few blog posts together. But yes, you can absolutely, for sure, use your blog, your website posts. LinkedIn posts, unless they get on Pulse, don't tend to be indexed by Google, which means you won't get a Google slap. Google's not going to care because Google's not going to see, so they're not going to know that you've got the same content in 2 places. So yes, absolutely repurpose your existing blog content. Oh, this is a good question. How do you feel about being an open connector versus only connecting to people you actually know are relevant to your industry or position? I used to be an open networker. I'm not anymore. And I will connect to people I don't know. But as you said, as long as they're relevant to my industry, my business, or my position. So there's a couple limits. You can only send out 3,000 invitations. You can only accept up to 30,000. That may seem far away for you, but I've been on LinkedIn for 10 years, and I'm at that 30,000 person limit, and my poor assistant has to delete about 100 people a week for me to accept invitations, and I don't even accept everybody's invitation. I only accept invitations from people who have personally engaged with me or customized that invitation, right? So Yes, I would recommend now only connecting to people who I know who, like you said, are relevant to my industry or position, because why be connected to other people, right? They may have an audience. I mean, you might consider someone who's not relevant to your industry or position, but they have an audience that is. Yeah, in that case maybe, because again, the closer you are connected, the more visible your profile is. But yeah, just connecting to connect, it is not worth it anymore. That 30,000 limit is a hard limit. Okay, so another question. I've been getting a lot of unfamiliar requests for information from LinkedIn, names that I do not even recognize. Is there some filter I can use to avoid this? There is, kind of. So in your settings section, in communications, the third tab on the top right, you can limit the type of invitations you get. The problem is you'll probably not get invitations from people you do know. So in my case, I just delete them or archive them. And if it's obviously a spammer, I'll actually report them. But just delete them. Just delete them. That's probably the best thing to do. What are your recommendations about limiting specific personal information to avoid phishing attempts? Oh my goodness. So I haven't actually, I have an article on this, which I will try and find and send so that we can send it to you. LinkedIn just changed its settings. Yay! So now you can make yourself very limited visibility to the public, i.e. people who are not on LinkedIn. But within LinkedIn, you can actually make yourself very, very visible. So it used to be kind of all or nothing. So my public information is quite limited, but my information that I share on LinkedIn is extremely expanded from the way it used to be, because it's no longer all or nothing. So if you haven't checked that recently, go to edit or click on the your personal profile URL, linkedin.com/in/your name. That will, if you edit that, that takes you to your public profile, and you're going to want to adjust your settings to be very visible on LinkedIn, but not so visible outside of LinkedIn, because yeah, there are a lot of phishing schemes. I'm just, oh, do I have to stop?
I was going to say, you know, what I can do is, unfortunately, we do have to stop the way the platform works. It'll stop.
Oh, there we go. We only have 2 minutes left. Okay.
I guess it's a little pause. But what I can do is I've downloaded all these questions.
Oh, perfect.
And
okay.
we can look at it, and it's probably gives good content for, you know, we could put a blog, but we'll find a way to make sure we get these questions answered to everyone. And I have to say, thank you so much, Viveka. This has been, first of all, one of our largest audiences that we've had on the webinar.
Oh, look at that, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even look up.
Yes. You are just so dynamic, amazing. I walked away learning something. And for everyone on the call, we will make sure to email the replay, the PDF of the slides, the tiny URL. There's also an ebook that will be coming, lots of great resources. And also, if you were a job seeker, there were a couple of comments about, I'm a job seeker, how do I use LinkedIn?
Yep.
We have 2 webinars coming up. One will be geared towards business owners, and then the other one will be geared towards job seekers on resume writing and LinkedIn profiles. So we will definitely make sure to get some more questions covered through a future webinar. These are every 2 weeks on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. And we will take a break in the summer, but we will email our audience to let you know. Thank you so much for joining us today, everyone. I can tell you found this very valuable. And thank you, Viveka, one more time. You are amazing. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, everyone. It was absolutely my pleasure. You've got my contact info before they cut us off. Please feel free to email me if you have any more questions. And yeah, we'll do like a follow-up or something.
Definitely. This is great. Have a good one. Thanks, Viveka. Bye.
Absolutely.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye. Wow.
Yay, that was fun.